Two men walked into my clinic last month, both 58 years old, both recently retired. The first one moved slowly toward the chair, one hand on the wall, lowering himself down like his own body was something he no longer trusted. When I asked how he was doing, he shrugged and said, just getting old, doctor." The second man walked in and shook my hand so firmly I actually felt it in my shoulder. He sat down without thinking about it, looked me straight in the eye and said, "Never better, honestly." Same age, same city, retired within a year of each other, and yet two completely different bodies, two completely different futures. The difference between them had nothing to do with genetics and nothing to do with luck. It came down to 7 specific things, 7 habits. One of them had quietly kept for years, and the other had just as quietly let go of, without ever noticing the moment it happened. My name is Dr. Nerita, and for the past 12 years, I've worked almost exclusively with men in midlife and beyond. And if there's one thing I've learned in that time, it's this. Age doesn't decide how your body holds up. Stopping does. Today, I want to walk you through 7 signs that tell you, right now, whether you're aging like that first man or that second man. Stay with me until the end, because sign number 5 is the one almost nobody expects. And in my experience, it might matter more than every other sign on this list combined. And before we get into it, if this resonates with you even a little, hit subscribe and tell me your age in the comments, because I genuinely want to know who's watching this today. Here's what most men have been told, directly or indirectly, by everyone around them. That after 50, decline is just the deal you signed up for. Aches become normal. Slower recovery becomes normal. Less energy becomes normal. And so men stop questioning it. Because what's the point of questioning something everyone insists is inevitable? I'm here to tell you that's one of the most damaging lies a man can believe about his own body. In 12 years of clinical practice, I have never once seen age alone break a man down. I have seen habits break men down. I have seen years of small decisions, repeated quietly, compound into something that looks like aging, but is really just neglect, wearing a disguise. So let's find out exactly where you stand right now, today. I'm going to walk you through 7 signs. As we go through each one, I want you to be completely honest with yourself. Not because this is some kind of test you can fail, but because real awareness is the first step toward either protecting what you still have or getting back what you think you've lost. Sign number 1 is your ability to get back up. Not out of a chair, not with your hands pushing off the couch. I mean, sitting down on the floor and standing back up using only your legs. No hands, no rolling to the side. Try to picture the last time you actually did that. If you can do it without hesitation, you are already ahead of the vast majority of men your age. And this isn't just a party trick I like showing off in appointments. That single movement requires leg strength, hip mobility, core control, and balance, all firing together at once. It's one of the clearest windows I have into a man's overall functional reserve, more revealing to me sometimes than half the lab work I order. If you struggled just now thinking about it, don't panic and don't feel discouraged. Start sitting on the floor on purpose every day. Not the couch, not the bed, the actual floor. And let your body slowly remember something it already knows how to do. Sign number 2 is whether you can still walk for 30 minutes without your body forcing you to stop. Not running, not some intense hike, just walking continuously, without your knees giving out or your hips locking up or your lungs demanding a bench. If you can do that and finish feeling capable rather than wrecked, it tells me your heart and your joints are still communicating with each other the way they're supposed to. I've had men sit across from me and admit they stopped their evening walks because their knees ached a little. And 5 years later, those same men could barely make it to the end of their driveway. It was never the joint that ended the walking. It was stopping the walking that ended the joint. If 30 minutes feels far away right now, start with 10 and add a couple of minutes each week. Your body adapts faster than you'd expect because, frankly, it was built for exactly this. Sign number 3 is something most men never think to check, and that's grip strength. Can you carry 2 full bags of groceries up a flight of stairs without your arms shaking or your back seizing up halfway through? Grip strength is one of the most studied predictors in all of aging research, and in some populations, it tracks a man's future health more closely than his blood pressure does. I've watched this pattern repeat itself for over a decade. The men with strong hands are almost always the men still driving themselves places, still doing things for other people instead of waiting for things to be done for them. If your grip has gotten weaker, something as simple as squeezing a rubber ball or a rolled up towel for 2 minutes a day can start reversing that faster than most men assume. Sign number 4 is your memory, specifically whether you can remember the name of someone you only met once, a week ago. Not your oldest friend, not your neighbor you see daily, someone new. If that name comes back to you without anyone prompting you, it tells me your hippocampus is still forming and pulling up new connections the way it should be. Too many men accept fogginess as an inevitable part of getting older. And I want to be clear as a physician, it is not. Forgetting names and misplacing things are signals, not sentences. They're your brain telling you it isn't getting enough blood flow, enough sleep, or enough genuine stimulation. I've watched men recover sharpness they assumed was gone for good, simply by moving daily, fixing their sleep, and having real conversations instead of passive background noise. Now here's sign number 5, the one I promised you at the start, and it's the one almost nobody expects on a list like this. It's whether you still wake up most mornings wanting something, not every single morning, not some perfect ideal, just most mornings. A project pulling you forward, a person you're looking forward to seeing, a problem you actually want to solve. In 12 years of practice, I have watched a loss of purpose damage a man's health faster than almost any diagnosis I've ever written down. When that wanting disappears, when every morning starts to feel flat and identical, cortisol creeps up, testosterone drifts down, the immune system quietly weakens, and the whole body starts following the mind into a kind of surrender. But the moment a man has something real to move toward again, every system in his body seems to get the same message. Keep going. We're not finished yet. If this is the one you're missing, don't overthink it. Just find one thing this week. One book, one small project, one relationship worth investing in. Wanting is a muscle like any other, and it responds the same way muscle always does, to use. Sign number 6 is emotional composure. Whether you can sit through a hard conversation without shutting down completely or exploding. Someone challenges you, disagrees with you, tells you something you don't want to hear, and the question is simple. Can you stay in the room? I've had patients come to me with chest pain, high blood pressure, and insomnia that had nothing to do with diet or exercise, and everything to do with decades of emotion that never had anywhere to go. A man who can sit in discomfort and respond with clarity instead of going cold or going nuclear has built something most men never get around to building, and it's a genuine predictor of how long and how well he'll live. If this one's your weak spot, start absurdly small. When you feel yourself getting reactive, just breathe. 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, before you say a single word. And sign number 7, the last one, is presence. Whether people still feel better simply for having been in the room with you. It's the hardest one to measure, and in my experience, the one that quietly reflects every single sign that came before it. Because a man who's still strong, still walking, still curious, still wanting something, still emotionally steady, tends to bring something into a room that other people can feel, even if they couldn't explain exactly what it is. So look back over all 7. Some of these you probably nailed without thinking twice. Others might have made you pause. And that pause is worth paying attention to, because none of these are fixed. Not at 50, not at 60, not at 70. Every single one of them is trainable starting today. Tell me in the comments which sign hit you the hardest, and if this was useful, subscribe. Because next week, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to rebuild whichever one of these you're weakest in. There's one more thing I want you to understand before we close this out, and it's something I tell every single patient who sits across from me feeling defeated by this list. None of these 7 signs exist in isolation. They feed each other. A man who starts walking again almost always starts sleeping better. A man who sleeps better almost always finds his mood steadier and his patience longer. A man whose patience is longer starts showing up better in his relationships. And that alone can restore a sense of purpose he thought he'd lost for good. This is the part nobody tells you. You don't have to fix all 7 at once. You just have to pick the one that felt heaviest when I named it and give it real attention for the next 30 days.